There's an overwhelming amount of financial advice in the news and on social media. Who do you listen to? Are they looking out for what's best for you? How do you tune out the noise? In this podcast, trusted advisors Emily Agosto, CPA, and Amanda Vaught, JD, bring their extensive education and experience to delve into all aspects of personal finance. Emily and Amanda make topics like investing, taxes, and financial planning interesting and accessible. And they provide a framework to help you think through the plethora of financial advice and news out there. Are you ready to start making the best personal financial decisions for you? Welcome to Connecting the Dollars with Propel Financial Advisors.
Hello, Amanda.
Hi, Emily.
How are you?
I'm really good.
Good. I am too. I'm excited to talk about this topic today. We are going to talk about if you are in the market for hiring a financial planner or an investment advisor, the questions you should ask, the things you should look for, and just generally all the research you should do before making a decision.
Yeah, and I thought this could be a great topic to cover after watching the Madoff documentary on Netflix recently. Because you watch that and you see so many red flags that they go through in the episode, and you're just like, oh man, if people had just seen this, you wish a lot of this, could have been prevented.
Right. Is there anything specific in that documentary that kind of jumped out to you, or were just like, oh, I can't believe this?
Oh yeah. So, one of the things is that Madoff did have a valid business as a market maker, which they explain in the documentary. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of what that is, but it's a very valid business, and it's he had developed quite a reputation on Wall Street as, a reputable guy, and then he has sort of had this side operation as investing people's money, which we later learned was a elaborate Ponzi scheme. But the investment management part was done really under the table, and it wasn't registered with the SEC or any regulatory agencies. Right. So that is a really big red flag. Whenever you're evaluating a financial advisor, you do want to look them up and make sure they are registered with the SEC or a state agency, depending on the size of the firm, will either be at a state or at the SEC.
Yeah, and it's not just like that's the first barrier to entry. Like that's the bottom hurdle to cross. So just because they're registered does not it does not necessarily mean that it's like, oh, that means they're a good advisor.
Yeah, it doesn't mean any kind of endorsement or evaluation of the quality of advisor, but it is a legal requirement for any advisor to be registered. Right. I do think there is some confusion sometimes because some insurance salespeople call themselves financial advisors. An insurance salesperson is a very different regulatory framework than a financial advisor. When I'm talking about financial advisor, I'm talking about people registered as investment advisors under, the Securities Act.
Right. Yeah. The most, I think we hear a lot about like registered investment advisors versus broker dealers. And David actually wrote a blog post in March of 2019 that still holds up. I mean, we're 4 years and a whole pandemic later. And it's just a quick little read, and we'll link that in the show notes. And the main difference between investment advisors, registered investment advisors like us, and broker dealers, or like someone working for a local bank perhaps, is that investment advisors have a fiduciary duty. And Amanda, can you go into what the fiduciary duty is?
Yeah, so the fiduciary duty is a legal requirement that the advisor has to do what's in the client's best interest. Right. So that's can have a big impact on how you advise clients. It means we don't have quotas. We don't have sales commissions. We are only paid by our clients. Right. Broker dealers who don't have that fiduciary standard, they have I believe it's a reasonableness standard, they can get paid by commissions, because, and they do have quotas from their banks, sell a certain number of certain securities. And that's how they make their money, right? Is from selling these financial products. Registered advisors is a separate thing where you don't make money from selling products. You just make money from helping the clients do what's in their best interest. So that leads into, asking your financial advisor, if you're, they're evaluating who you can hire, ask them how they get paid. Because that can lead to, maybe you're fine with somebody getting commissions, but you want to know. I think it's important.
And that kind of leads into, so Amanda created a 5 questions to ask your financial advisor. It's a nice little handout, and we'll also link that on the show notes. And so question number 3 is, how do you charge for your services? So that's something that can really give you insight into how the business works, how your advisor is choosing investments, perhaps, like to quote David's article, the broker's purpose, like their main purpose, is to maximize profits for its owners or shareholders. They're not necessarily putting you first.
Right. And I think that's important part of how we work, is being very transparent about our fees, because a lot of this financial industry really obfuscates their fees that they are charging. So, whether that's through commissions or it's through, like robo advisors, they tell you they are charging you this low fee, which they are, but they're also keeping this large percentage of your investable account in cash, because that's how they make money, right? They make money off your cash by investing that for themselves and taking the spread on the interest. Or they make money from selling your order flow. Like, I know, some of the investment apps do that type of thing. Are you comfortable with that? Is that okay with you? Take these things into consideration when you're evaluating what fee you're actually paying to somebody.
Right. Okay. So one of the other questions on the list is that you might want to ask a potential investment advisor, financial advisor, is, are you primarily a financial planner or an investment advisor? And this is kind of just a good way to, I think, is a good way to just open up a conversation about, what kind of services outside of just picking stocks or whatever you're picking for me can you offer?
Yeah, I think that's good, because there's different types of advisors out there, and some really focus on financial planning and the investment side. Some of them don't do, some of them outsource it. Some of them have expertise in it. So it's just really, what are you looking for? So that's sort of a personal question.
Yeah. And maybe you do want some extra help with, like, setting up a 529 plan or doing some estate planning. And they, whoever you're talking to, they may or may not have that capability or that, access.
Yeah. Financial planners can be very useful too if you're preparing for retirement. We see a lot of tax issues. Tax planning gets really important, especially if you're on a fixed income. You might need more planning help in that phase of your life, or if you're in the savings phase and you have difficulty setting up your budget, that's the kind of more financial planning type question you might need. Investment help is a little bit, a different thing, right?
Right. A different animal. And it's not a one size fits all thing either.
Right.
Let's see. Going back to this. So this question's not on here, but kind of where I was going with the one size fits all, like, do you do custom portfolios or do you use models? I think that's a good question that you could ask a potential financial advisor.
Yeah. I think it's a good question. I feel like some people don't always know how to evaluate what a financial advisor says to them. If they start talking about models versus, investing in this or that, and that quickly can lead to a financial advisor speaking in jargon. And some people, they just don't feel comfortable asking the question, or they feel, talked down to, or maybe they just feel insecure about it. And I just personally, I think that is a little bit of a red flag. If an advisor can't explain something to you in layman's regular speak, then they might not be the right advisor for you. I think an advisor should always be available to be able to address questions, answer them effectively, and really help people with your personal finances. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're not here to just talk down to you or speak to you in a foreign language. I mean, that's awful. Like, what service are you paying for there, you know?
Absolutely.
And that gets into, you know, just evaluating somebody based on your gut, you know, or just trust, like, oh, I feel like I can trust this person, or I get a good feeling from them. That can be good. That's a good first step, but I think that shouldn't be the end of the diligence process when you're hiring someone, right, Emily?
Yeah, we recently had some people that, well, some new clients or potential clients that have known us for a while. These are specifically people I've worked with on the tax side. So they're familiar with me, they know me, but I want them to look up our website. I want them to read about, you know, our experience and our history. And it's like, just because you know us and hopefully you like us is not necessarily the best way to choose a financial advisor. It's really important to do your research. And you had mentioned some red flags earlier. What do you think are some other red flags that maybe were either in the documentary you watched or that you've seen kind of just in general?
Yeah, I think just going back to that registration thing really quick, I've seen other cases of fraud where there was a recent one in Florida where a bunch of retirees had given money to somebody who said they were a financial advisor, and I think they were registered. But if you go on FINRA broker check, you can search the person's name and you can see if there have been complaints or any other issues against them. And this advisor who had stolen all of these people's money had like a whole series of complaints against him. And if these, you know, victims had just looked him up, it was all right there to see. And it's just, I just think it's so sad because especially retirees, you know, you need that money, or and you don't get any do-overs, right? There, you get like one crack at the apple on a lot of these things. And if you make this a big financial mistake like this, it's very difficult to recover from. And so it's better to do what you can to prevent it in the first place.
Yeah. And
So that's what I would say. And I would say also check with your greed level.
Yes.
I think greed drives a lot of this awful behavior on Wall Street and for individuals as well. I mean, Madoff obviously was a larger than like an extreme example of the greed gone bad, but you know, you think about the people who were investing with him, they liked getting those returns, you know.
They didn't
There's
want
a
to ask any
reason.
questions.
Yeah, they didn't want to ask any questions because they liked getting those returns. And I think that's, you know, one thing we stress in our practice when we work with people is how much is enough? You know, what is this money really for? Do you really need this much? And for some people, a lot of people don't have enough money, they need to save more, and so it makes a lot of sense. But for other people, you know, you want to take a more like holistic approach. You know, what does this money mean to you? What do you want to do with it? And that gets into more of the financial planning side that some people just don't do. They just are looking at returns for return's sake, which can lead to problems.
Yeah, and you can get into some shady situations if that's all you're focused on.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time like making sure we're in compliance with everything. So please go ahead and take a look at all those documents we work so hard on.
I know. There's a lot of time behind the scenes making sure all of our regulatory stuff is in order, and you know, sometimes that's frustrating, but it's as a business owner, but it's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's there to protect the clients and protect investors and to help them.
Yeah, when someone says they're a registered investment advisor, it means something. Like it's not just I went to school and passed a test. It's like it's much more, and we're held to a certain standard, and we have to answer to regulatory bodies. So
yeah, for sure. And then I think it's always a good idea, if you are interviewing for a new financial advisor, it's just talk to more than one, see what's out there. There's a lot of people have different approaches, and you want to find, at least for us, we want a long-term relationship. And so we want to find somebody who's a good fit. And, so it helps if our clients do that diligence in advance and they also think, it's a good fit. So,
yeah, I think that's a lot of really good information. I hope people listen to this and learn something. Any other final thoughts on Bernie Madoff or looking for an investment advisor before we wrap up here?
Yes, I don't know. I hate, because people have, bad experiences with financial advisors, and it's unfortunate and selfishly that it makes our job harder because people have this bad experience. And then, it's too bad, because a good financial advisor can be very helpful in people's financial lives. So like I said before, you get one crack at the apple, so might as well do it right.
Yeah, so that's a little bit extra to information about how we work, and if you want to learn more, we'll have everything posted on our website. You can reach us at info@connectingthedollars.com for any questions. You can set up a free consult. We still have that. We have a consultation button on our website. You can set something up to talk with one of us. And please send us any questions or comments. And that's it. We'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
That will do it for this episode of Connecting the Dollars. Nothing discussed in this episode should be considered legal, financial, or tax advice. If you like what you heard, please subscribe for more at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your content. When you do, please give us a rating and a review. To see the links we mentioned in our show, along with other great Propel Financial Advisors content, go to connectingthedollars.com. You can find our past episodes there and subscribe to our newsletter. And if you're still here because you have a general question, you can email us directly at info@connectingthedollars.com. Or if you're interested in working with us, click the Schedule a Consultation button on our website. Thank you for listening.